Hola paisanos, just Julio here, and damn Gerudo Town, you scary! The scariest town is probably the most realist. So, let me take it a step back. Let me remind you all that this is a fictional world of Hyrule. There are different races of Hyrule. You got your Ritos, you got your Zoras, you got your Gorons, you got your Gerudos, which I don't know if they're, they are a different race, but I mean, they're more human-like than they are Rito-like. You know what I'm saying? So, other than that separation, that the Gerudos are a different race, different species, I believe. They're more Hylian than they are. Or they are more human and Hylian than they are Goron-like. But the fact of the matter is that when you step into the mission in which you have to save Gerudo Town, you're thinking it's probably going to be somewhat similar like Breath of the Wild, right? You got to find a way to get your clothes, to investigate the city, the town. You go in, you want to find out what the problem is. You ask the leaders, and they give you a side mission that takes you somewhere else. When you come back, you find out how to resolve their issues, and you tackle the mission, temple, whatever it is you're tackling, because you know that at the end of the day, you have to hide your identity of a Vo into this society that is only meant for a female society, where only Gerudos and females are allowed into the town. Now, this is a fictional world. I remind you once again, this is a fictional world of Hyrule. It's all made up. Everything's made up. We believe it's real, because of all the details, but we know it's not a real place. We know it's not a real town. We know that these characters are just zeros and ones at the end of the day. But the scariest thing about it is it hits like if it were real. So, like I said, we know it's fake. We know we're just expecting to step into Gerudo Town without any of our Vi female clothing on, and if we're not wearing any of that, we will get turned away. So when you're traversing the desert, which is a little intimidating because there's actual like sandstorms, not just in designated areas. It's like this big sandstorm between the bazaar and Gerudo Town. You might get kind of lost a little bit, which I kind of did at first. Not gonna lie about it, but definitely was intimidating at first. But you step into Gerudo Town and you realize it's abandoned, like abandoned. There's nothing there. You're walking the streets, and it's like walking in a lost city. Except this city exists because you've been there before. It was just previously inhabited by the Gerudo and other female visitors and tourists in that area, just knowing that this is a destination for vacation spots. So this is a real place. This is like weird. You're not supposed to see nothing. This, unless everyone fell asleep, but you're able to go into the different rooms and you realize there's something wrong. And that makes you feel weird. It makes you feel like you're feels wrong to like step in with your regular Vo clothing in this town that is not inhabited by any Vos of any kind. You realize that this doesn't feel right. It's not right. It almost feels borderline illegal. You should be arrested. You hear the cops, me just talking about it. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to be doing this, but I'm here in my Vo clothing in Gerudo Town. And that's not right. Even though this fictional world that we all, kind of believe and we kind of think it's real, that feeling is real. That emotion is real. This fictional world of Hyrule and Gerudo Town, it's not a real place. I can't touch it. But that feeling of I'm not supposed to be stepping this town in my regular Vo clothes. Like they can see that I don't have feminine features. They know this is a Hylian man walking into Gerudo Town, and that feeling is wrong. That you're not supposed to do that right now. Everyone's hiding. So then you're looking. Okay, there's got to be some sort of sign that people were here, right? and you find your way down into the shelters, and that's where you discovered all the Gerudos. Everyone's hiding away, and now you feel a little bit safer, a little bit more. Your nerves are kind of calming down because you realize that, all right, these people did not go extinct. You know, you were seeing them across the land. They were there, but you didn't realize that they were all hiding in shelter from the desert storm. So the blistering storms, the desert storm is there. Everyone's hiding in the shelters. And then you realize that this is a little intimidating for not just you, but for the Gerudos. The Gerudos have to live in hiding. And this just gives us this like feeling of like, oh, this doesn't feel right. I know these people, aren't real, but that feeling of like having to be in this sheltered environment because of the fear of the outside and the natural disaster that is happening with the blizzard storms, the sandstorms. That's a real feeling. Like there's people out there in the world who are probably in this predicament right now. I know in the past, in the history books, read them if you have them, that this has been a thing in the past where people have to hide for various reasons, and you have to live underground or in shelters in ways that you can only protect yourselves from the outside world, because the outside world is trying to get rid of you, whether that's in extreme cases or in from natural cases, which in this world right now is the sandstorm. And then you come across the enemies that are keeping the Gerudos in hiding, and those are the Gibdos. Now, when I first heard about the Gibdos, I was a little bit spoiled, but I knew that the Gibdos, this is going to be serious, because the Gibdos, if you recall, are some of the scariest enemies in all of Zelda. It goes right up there with like Dead Hand and any of the various forms of ghosts. The Poes are a little scary in thought, less in physical form, but more of the idea of Poes are probably more intimidating. And like I said, Gerudo Town is scary, not because the environment itself is intimidating, but the idea that a Gibdo is essentially a bug. Now, bugs, those are real. We have those in real life. We could probably be seeing the formation of a Gibdo right now. After the pandemic, maybe it made some sort of bugs evolve in certain ways, and we could be starting to see the evolution of a Gibdo in real life. And all it was is because it was just some weird bug that transformed into some sort of moth, then in turn became the Gibdo. And that alone is a scary thought, and it makes me feel like Gerudo Town is more real than you once thought. Traversing the desert makes you feel a little intimidating when you can't see your map sensor, but knowing that those Gibdos, those bug-like creatures, are out there in the world of Hyrule and potentially here in the real world is intimidating. Now, I'm talking about the elements of the game that are scary and in thought process is kind of intimidating to think about. So having a civilization of the Gerudos tucked away and probably forgotten. Imagine if you, the hero, Link, did not go out of your way to finding out about the Gerudos. What if the Gerudos just over time were just stuck there and they just, got swept away in the sands of time? That's scary. Existential questions like that is what freaks me out, and that's what makes Gerudo Town scary. If it weren't for Link and you saving the Gerudos, maybe those people wouldn't have made it, and they would have probably been forgotten and extinct because their civilization ended right there and then, because Link did not show up to help them. Seeing Riju grow up wouldn't have happened. This wonderful young lady who was the leader of the Gerudos, maybe not being able to help her people because she was too young. Imagine all the people that you probably know who in your early years, or even now, who are really young, who want to help out and do their best. They just can't, but you nurture them and you allow them to grow, and they become a better person for it. Riju, if it weren't for you, Riju probably wouldn't have been able to develop the skills she had, and she probably wouldn't become a great leader she would, and she is now. And chances are that thought alone is scary. You, the hero, saved a town from extinction, and it really puts things in perspective where you're like, these ideas are real, even though this world is fictional. And that's a scary idea about Gerudo Town. All of these questions and elements of the game that I wouldn't have thought otherwise, but these are very much real life things that are happening and has happened in our world. We just happen to play it in a portion of the game that was part of a main mission, which luckily for us, everything turns out okay if you beat that portion of the game. But imagine if you didn't. Imagine if you all still saved the Kingdom of Hyrule, and then Gerudo Town gets swept away just like the dust in the wind. So, scary thought. Gerudo Town, you made me think about these things, and that's a scary thought. But luckily enough for me, I got through that main quest of the mission, and I feel much better for it, and it makes you really think about things in a different light. But you know that this is indeed one of those times where fact is indeed stranger than fiction, and I'm just glad that this world of Hyrule is fictionalized and our world of reality is the way it is. But if Tears of the Kingdom has taught me anything, is that sometimes you gotta let things break before you find your next treasure. And that is one thought that it makes me relieved that I get to live in the way that I do without having to analyze it too heavily and make my step forward in this world. So Gerudo Town, you might be scary, but you made me see the path at the end of the road that I can happily look into and progress in my own path. Let me know what y'all thought of Gerudo Town. Was it as scary as you thought? Was I overanalyzing this aspect of the game? Because chances are I am, but saying it out loud makes you feel a little bit better. So I would love to hear in the comment section below what you really thought of Gerudo Town. Was it really scary as you once thought? Or am I actually overanalyzing this? Am I actually getting arrested for walking the streets of Gerudo Town? No. But what if I was? You never know. This was just Jalile, your favorite paisano, and I'll check you guys in the next one. Later.